suitcase. Look how like my own it is. Shows you how well organized the underground is. Now, listen.
Not just now, darling.
Well, there may not be another chance for weeks. There's going to be a rush at the records office. You know how it is during hate week. The speeches are full of mistakes, and we've got to put them right. Now, listen.
I've marked a few passages. Now here for instance. When the United States absorbed the British Empire to form Oceania, and Russia took Europe to form Eurasia, 2 of the 3 world states were in being. Their ideologies were Ingsoc, Neo-Bolshevism, and later death worship in East Asia. These 3 states are permanently at war.
Then it's not a sham.
Wait. War has changed its character. It exists only to preserve tyranny. Fighting, when there is any, takes place on vague tropical frontiers or round the floating fortresses. The essential act of war is the destruction of human labor, a way of shattering or sinking the materials which might be used to make the masses too comfortable, in the long run, too intelligent. No invasion of enemy territory must ever take place.
Then the real war isn't with Eurasia at all. It's between all of us and...
And then, the party member, like the proletarian, tolerates conditions because he has nothing with which to compare his way of life. Efficiency, even military efficiency, is no longer needed. In Oceania, nothing is efficient except the thought police.
The swine, the filthy swine.
Big Brother.
Does he exist?
Is the guise in which the party shows itself to the world. No one has ever seen him. It's all here. The revolution, what it was like before that, what freedom was. Oh, Julia, I know now at last that I'm not mad.
Oh, my darling, you've thought that.
Well, even if a person's the only one to believe something, that doesn't make him mad. There's truth and there's untruth. But if you stick to the truth, even against the whole world, you're still not mad.
I want to read it. We'll read it together.
She's as solid as a pillar, as sturdy as... Do you know, Julia, she's beautiful.
I saw her yesterday and meet her across the hips easily.
That's her style of beauty. Strong heart, strong arms, toughened by 20 years of childbearing. Julia, if there's any hope for the future, it lies in the proles.
Proles?
85% of the population. If only they became conscious of their own strength, all they need is to rise up and shake themselves like a horse shaking off flies. They'd throw off the party.
Conscious? They're like a horse, all right.
Sometimes.
Or what they'd really done. You see, how do we know what exists? Even the war itself may be a lie. The party says we're fighting Eurasia or Eastasia. They can change it in a minute and make it true. Always somewhere in the desert or the jungle, we don't know. When a rocket bomb drops in one of the prole sectors, it might have been fired by our own government.
All right. You and I, we're helping to make these lies. I sit at my desk in the records department helping to draw the darkness in.
It's your work.
We've helped to destroy history. There's only an endless present where the party's always right.
Draw a line across at twice as likely to die. We find that beginning at around the age 60, men are twice as likely to die as women, and that the countries they've chosen for this particular graph, and the data is coming from the United Nations, is Denmark, France, Poland and Germany. So a spread of European countries showing pretty much the same sort of thing.
And this goes in line with other reporting we're seeing, Mike, from medical professionals saying that a lot of people, particularly in Italy, in fact 99% of the deaths in Italy have underlying chronic health conditions, multiple, in fact, underlying chronic health conditions. That's from the Italian Health Institute's own numbers. But what are those chronic health ailments, Mike? They're things like hypertension, heart conditions, respiratory conditions, and certainly in a population where you have a lot of men who smoke, for instance, this wouldn't be uncommon over the age of 70, nor would hypertension or heart conditions and things like that over the age of 80, for instance. And that was really accounted for 80% of the fatalities in Italy.
Right. So this is a very important point as well, and one, in fact, that the BBC have acknowledged. But you wouldn't know it if you went to this article. Because this was published on the 1st of April, Coronavirus, How to Understand the Death Toll, and you can see the URL at the bottom of the screen there. This article written by Nick Triggle on the 1st of April, as I say. But the problem is that somebody had sent me some text from this article a couple of weeks ago. And in fact, when I went back to read this article again, that text wasn't there. I found that very strange. So we go to the Wayback Machine and we find that, in fact, this same URL had this headline on the 21st of March. In fact, this snapshot is from the 23rd of March. Coronavirus deaths, what we don't know. So they not only changed the title, keeping the URL the same, but they changed the body of the text, keeping the URL the same. Now, I don't know what you think about this, Patrick, but this seems like pretty bogus editorial policy to me.
This briefcase. Look how like my own it is. Shows you how well organized the underground is. Now, listen.
Not just now, darling.
Well, there may not be another chance for weeks. There's going to be a rush at the records office. You know how it is during hate week. The speeches are full of mistakes, and we've got to put them right. Now,
because what that means is that if people bookmark something, they go back at a later time and find different information to what they saw in the first place. So the question in my mind was, what was the text that they wanted to change? And it was this. So here's what they wrote. Every year, more than 500,000 people die in England and Wales. Factor in Scotland and Northern Ireland, and the figure tops 600,000. The coronavirus deaths will not be on top of this. Many would be within this normal number of expected deaths. It was conceded by Sir Patrick at a press conference on Thursday when he said there would be some overlap between coronavirus deaths and expected deaths. He just didn't know how much of an overlap. So this, Patrick, seems to me to be an unbelievable piece of editorial decision by the BBC to remove this absolutely critical piece of information from public view, because what we're talking about here is that in order to say that there is a pandemic which requires the type of draconian action that we've seen, the destruction of our economy that we're seeing, there's got to be something out of the ordinary going on. So what we have is a virus which, according to the BBC, at one point in time was going to be within the normal expected levels of deaths. We've got a virus which is attacking older people, apparently, and a virus which is causing absolutely the normal number of deaths, but relative between men and women. So there's nothing strange going on at all here, but it doesn't end there.
But just one point I want to make on the BBC, Mike. This is the most important, arguably, media outlet in the country. This is effectively the national broadcaster, and they're acting like the Ministry of Truth. In this type of situation where the news is fluid. They'll just change it as it goes. The BBC becomes Wikipedia in that sense. It becomes the Ministry of Truth. That's kind of disturbing considering it's the biggest supposed health crisis in the history of the country, in modern times at least. To see this being done by the top media outlet in the country, one of the supposedly most preeminent in the world, that's really disturbing. Absolutely,
and what you would normally expect to see, of course, is you would see the article with its publication date, you would see an updated date, and within the body of the text, it would explicitly say what's been updated. This is transparency. In this case, the BBC hasn't done that.
So they're trying to manage the narrative, essentially.
That is exactly what's going on, but it doesn't end there. Here is an Italian website. This is about the number of deaths of doctors in Italy. And I'm very sad that these people have passed away, but that's the way it is. And they list 40 of them in total. Let's have a look at some of them. This is the first 7. And if you go to this website now, you see their names, what they did, and the dates that they passed away. But if you'd gone to this website a couple of weeks ago, you would have found that it included their birth dates. So this is a pretty critical piece of information because their birth dates 1952, 1946, 1956, 1940, 1940, 1946, and 1949 on screen there. So these people are all retired. They are not serving doctors. They're retired. And so as a result, we've got to say that this website has been changed to remove that critical piece of information.
This is stunning, Mike, because the media have run with this talking point that doctors are dying in Italy. And it's really making headlines, and very emotive headlines at that. And what you've just shown us there is a total deception regarding this. And this is from what should be a national sort of record-keeping website here, which should be a definitive resource for people.
Yes.
And they're glossing over their birth dates to show that they're not actually serving doctors.
This briefcase. Look how like my own it is. Shows you how well organized the underground is. Now, listen.
Not just now, darling.
Well, there may not be another chance for weeks. There's going to be a rush at the records office. You know how it is during hate week. The speeches are full of mistakes, and we've got to put them right. Now, listen.
I've marked a few passages. Now here for instance. When the United States absorbed the British Empire to form Oceania, and Russia took Europe to form Eurasia, 2 of the 3 world states were in being. Their ideologies were INSOC, Neo-Bolshevism, and later death worship in East Asia. These 3 states are permanently at war.
Then it's not a sham.
Wait. War has changed its character. It exists only to preserve tyranny. Fighting, when there is any, takes place on vague tropical frontiers or round the floating fortresses. The essential act of war is the destruction of human labor, a way of shattering or sinking the materials which might be used to make the masses too comfortable. In the long run, too...